What if the future of warfare is not decided by the biggest explosion, but by a weapon that can convince an enemy's safest hiding place that nowhere is safe anymore? For decades, military planners around the world have faced the same problem. The deeper an enemy hides, the harder it becomes to reach them. Mountains become shields, concrete becomes armor. Underground tunnels become invisible fortresses. And eventually, the battlefield moves beneath the surface. But what happens when the weapon designed to defeat those fortresses finally arrives? Because buried deep inside the mountains of Iran lies a strategic problem that has challenged military planners for years. Not just a facility, not just a bunker, a symbol. The idea that enough rock, enough distance, and enough secrecy can create protection from modern air power. And that idea is now being tested. The hero of this story is not a fighter jet, not a missile, not even the aircraft carrying it. The hero is a concept turned into steel, the bunker-busting penetrator. Okay, one question. Can technology break through the places designed to survive technology? Because underground warfare has always been a battle between two engineers. One engineer builds deeper. The other builds something that goes deeper still. And this cycle has shaped warfare for generations. On a satellite image, the mountains surrounding Iran's strategic facilities appear almost ordinary brown ridges, empty valleys, a landscape that looks untouched. But beneath those rocks is a different world, a world of tunnels, storage areas, command spaces, and reinforced chambers. The surface tells only half the story, and that is the first contradiction. The strongest military positions are often the ones you cannot see. A fortress above ground announces itself. A fortress underground hides its existence. That changes the entire... Because air power depends on finding a target, reaching a target, and damaging a target. Underground facilities attack the first assumption of modern warfare, that the battlefield is visible. But here is the problem. You cannot destroy what you cannot locate. And even when you locate it, you still have to reach it. For decades, nations have invested in underground protection because they understand one basic military truth. Weapons evolve. So defenses evolve with them. During the Cold War, underground command centers protected governments from nuclear attacks. During later conflicts, underground tunnels protected weapons, leaders, and supply networks. The logic was simple. If your enemy controls the sky, move the battlefield below it. The mountain becomes your armor, the earth becomes your shield. But every shield creates a new challenge, and every challenge creates a new weapon. This is where the bunker penetrator enters the story. Not as a normal bomb, not as a bigger explosion, but as a completely different way of thinking about destruction. A normal bomb attacks the surface. A penetrator attacks what is underneath. The difference is not size. The difference is timing. Imagine dropping a weapon that does not want to explode. At first, it falls, then it hits, but instead of immediately breaking apart, it continues forward. Through soil, through rock, through layers of reinforced material. The weapon is not trying to defeat the mountain from the outside. It is trying to enter the mountain, because the real target is not the entrance. The real target is the hidden space below. This changes everything. The mountain is no longer the enemy. The mountain becomes the battlefield. Modern penetrator weapons represent decades of engineering focused on one problem. How do you deliver explosive force into a place designed to prevent explosive force from reaching it? The answer required more than power. It required precision, a hardened casing capable of surviving extreme impact, guidance systems capable of reaching exact coordinates, fuses designed to delay detonation until the weapon reaches the intended depth. Because a bunker is not defeated by hitting the door. A bunker is defeated by changing where the explosion happens. And that reveals the first major lesson of underground warfare. The location of the explosion matters more than the size of the explosion. But the weapon itself is only half the story, because no bomb operates alone. The real battlefield begins long before release. It begins with intelligence, satellites watching mountain roads, aircraft collecting electronic signals, analysts studying construction patterns, engineers identifying ventilation systems and access points. A weapon can be incredibly powerful, but without accurate information, it is just expensive metal falling from the sky. The part most people miss is this. Modern precision warfare is not only about hitting harder, it is about knowing more. This creates a dangerous competition between attacker and defender. The attacker searches for weaknesses. The defender searches for uncertainty. A hidden facility is not only protected by concrete, it is protected by doubt. How deep is it? What is inside? Which tunnel matters? Which entrance is real? Which target is a decoy? Because in modern warfare, uncertainty itself becomes a weapon. The enemy does not need to make your attack impossible. They only need to make it expensive. And that is why underground missile facilities are so strategically important. They are not simply storage areas. They represent military leverage. A missile hidden underground creates pressure. Even when it is never launched, it influences negotiations. It affects regional calculations. It forces opponents to consider future threats. The missile itself is only part of the weapon. The uncertainty surrounding the missile is the rest. Look at a map of the region. The mountains of Iran are not isolated terrain. They connect to something much larger: energy markets, shipping routes, regional alliances, global security calculations. A strike against an underground facility is never only about a bunker. It is about what that bunker represents. A country's ability to threaten, a country's ability to negotiate, a country's ability to convince others that it can survive pressure. And this creates another contradiction. Destroying physical infrastructure may be possible, but destroying strategic capability is much harder, because capability is not only concrete and steel, it is knowledge, personnel, industrial capacity, supply chains, time. This is why underground warfare is one of the most difficult challenges in modern conflict. A building can be destroyed. A runway can be repaired. A vehicle can be replaced. But a hidden network is different, because every tunnel connects to something else. Every facility supports another. Every weapon system exists inside a larger ecosystem. The visible target is the bunker. The invisible target is the system behind it. And this leads to the question that defines the entire story. Everyone looking at these strikes sees a weapon trying to break into a mountain. But what are they missing? Because the real battle may not be about whether one bomb can penetrate one bunker. The real battle may be about whether modern militaries can eliminate hidden threats faster than their opponents can rebuild them. The mountain is only the surface. The deeper war is just beginning. Everyone thinks this battle is about a bomb breaking through a mountain. But the real battle is about something far more complicated: control. Not control of territory, not control of a single facility, control of time, decisions, and uncertainty. Because in modern warfare, the most powerful weapon is not always the one that destroys the most. Sometimes it is the one that forces the enemy to change its behavior before the weapon is ever used. And that is where the underground battlefield becomes something much bigger than concrete and explosives. Deep beneath the surface, a missile facility is not just a storage location. It is a message. It tells an opponent, "We can survive your first strike." That message creates deterrence. It creates hesitation. IT creates political leverage, which means the real target is not always the missile. The real target is the confidence behind the missile. Because if a country begins to question whether its underground arsenal can survive, The strategic calculation changes. The weapon has already achieved an effect before impact. This is the invisible battlefield, the battlefield where information becomes ammunition. A satellite image, a damaged entrance, a missing convoy, a repaired tunnel. Each piece of information changes decisions, thousands of miles away. Inside command centers, analysts are not only asking how much damage was done, they are asking how much confidence did the enemy lose. That is a completely different measurement. And it reveals something important about modern conflict. Physical destruction is visible. Strategic pressure is not considered the defender's problem. For decades, underground facilities have been designed around one assumption. The attacker will eventually reach a limit. Maybe the weapon cannot penetrate deep enough. Maybe the cost becomes too high. Maybe political leaders will hesitate. Maybe the attacker will run out of patience. That assumption shaped underground warfare. But precision weapons are changing the equation. The question is no longer, can you hide? The question is, how many times can you hide before hiding becomes too expensive? But here's the problem. No strike happens in isolation. A military campaign is not a video game where destroying one target removes one enemy capability. Systems adapt, factories move, personnel relocate, production changes, new routes appear. The defender learns, the attacker learns, and the battlefield becomes a continuous competition between adaptation cycles. The faster side is not always the side with the strongest weapon. It is often the side that can learn faster. This is why intelligence has become as important as firepower. A penetrator bomb without intelligence is only a powerful object. A penetrator bomb connected to satellites, aircraft, analysts, and command networks becomes something different. A system, and modern militaries are increasingly built around systems rather than individual weapons. A fighter jet is valuable because of the sensors connected to it. A missile is valuable because of the information guiding it. A bomb is valuable because someone knows where to place it. The weapon is only the final step. The network creates the advantage. The same logic extends beyond the battlefield. Thousands of miles away, financial markets react. Energy companies adjust. Shipping companies calculate risk. Governments reconsider alliances. A strike against an underground missile facility may happen in one location, but its consequences travel across the world. Because energy security is connected to military security, and military security is connected to political stability. A conflict near major energy routes does not remain local for long. The Strait of Hormuz demonstrates this perfectly. On a map, it looks like a narrow waterway, just a small passage between land, but that narrow passage connects global economies. Every tanker moving through it represents something larger: fuel trade, industrial production, economic confidence. A threat to that route creates pressure even before shipping stops again. Uncertainty becomes the weapon. The missile is not always the weapon. The possibility of the missile is, and this is why military campaigns are often fought on several levels at the same time. There is the physical battlefield where aircraft fly, where weapons strike, where facilities are damaged. Then there is the strategic battlefield, where leaders calculate, markets react, allies decide, populations judge. The second battlefield often determines the outcome of the first. The biggest lesson here is that modern warfare has moved beyond destruction. The goal is increasingly not simply to eliminate weapons. It is to reshape choices. A successful military operation changes what the opponent believes is possible. It changes what they are willing to risk. It changes what they think they can protect. And that is why underground warfare matters. Because a mountain is not only rock. It is an idea. The idea that some things can remain untouchable. But technology creates another contradiction. The more advanced weapons become, the more expensive the battlefield becomes. A sophisticated penetrator requires advanced manufacturing. Advanced guidance requires complex electronics. Precision requires intelligence networks. Every advantage creates a new dependency, and every dependency creates a new vulnerability. A nation may build a weapon capable of defeating a bunker, but can it produce enough of them? Can it maintain the satellites? Can it protect the supply chains? Can it replace losses? The future battlefield may not be decided by the strongest weapon. It may be decided by the strongest industrial system. This is the reason underground warfare represents a preview of future conflicts. Future enemies will not only build stronger armies, they will build harder to find armies. They will hide weapons, disperse factories, create deception networks, use geography as protection. The battlefield will become less visible, more distributed, more complicated, and that means the next generation of warfare will depend less on finding one target and more on understanding an entire system. So what does this mean for the future? It means the era of the simple battlefield is disappearing. The battlefield is no longer just a field. It is a network, a mountain, a satellite image, a factory, a shipping lane, a political decision, a financial market. Everything connects. And because everything connects, everything becomes a target. The question is no longer whether a bunker can survive. The real question is whether any military system can remain hidden when satellites, artificial intelligence, precision weapons, and global intelligence networks are watching every move. Because the future of warfare may not belong to the side with the deepest bunker. It may belong to the side that understands the battlefield faster than anyone else. So the question for you is, do you think future wars will be won by the most powerful weapons or by the nations with the smartest systems behind those weapons?